You've got about another 6 hours before you're reminded why you moved out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Something will start to annoy you.
Yeah.
And what do you do normally?
I'm normally a librarian, actually. Yeah. So.
Okay.
I'm trying to transform the stereotypes of librarians, and yeah.
So what, have you got lots of piercings? Do you headbutt people if they bring the book back late?
Yeah, so I work at Kensington Chelsea College, and so hi to all my students if they're listening.
What's the most popular book?
Well, we have a lot of health students, thanks for asking, Stephen.
Lots of health students?
Yeah, so health and social care is quite a popular book, yeah.
Right. What about Doctor at Large?
Don't think we have that, no.
Oh, well, you might want to think about putting that on your shelves.
I'll look forward to that, yeah.
Or Doctor in Clover, I think that was the sequel. So you're working in the library, but does that give you time to listen to music, to new music? Are you endlessly seeking it out?
I'm trying to, yeah, but I find it quite hard to keep up, so I just sort of like what I like and try and keep up with the rest of it. But
what sort of stuff are you into?
I quite like, love David Ford, and actually that's thanks to one of your listeners. He played a David Ford track last year, so
excellent.
Yeah, got into that, and we went to see him live at Shepherd's Bush, and he was amazing.
Good.
So, yeah, like him, Get Cake, Wear Cake, Fly, love all that kind of thing. So yeah, that sort of thing.
And who is your favourite member of the Steve Show team?
Well, I would have to say Harry, Steve.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of people say he's a very sarcastic man.
Well, no, I think his musical choices are often my favourite. So,
really?
So yeah, so I'd have to say him.
And how have you manifested that love? Have you perhaps made a T-shirt?
I haven't made a T-shirt yet, but I have made the Facebook group for him. So, yeah, so if anyone wants to join, please come on to Facebook and try and get the numbers up.
And to be fair, El, it's higher quality than the other Facebook fan groups.
Yeah, well, I feel that, yeah, Harry. I do try and update it as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the tracks I've suggested. Often there's a quote of the week from me as well, which is quite difficult to come up with, I'd imagine.
Pen and paper handy.
Hey, there's a cracking one this week.
Just your quote of the week up.
Can you just remind us of the Penelope
movies? But I did see Penelope Cruz's Volvo on a plane once.
Okay.
I expect to see that on the group this week.
But no, it's a fascinating resource for all fans of Harry. It regularly enthralls its 66 members.
I think it's level pegging with Dan at the moment.
Oh,
so
come on.
Yeah, but my group's been dormant for months. I have to say, my admin isn't anywhere near as good as yours, Harry.
Oh, well, very kind of you, Dan.
Well, I'm sure people will be racing to that now. We might well be up to 68 by the end of the show.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Let's hope so.
So what's your musical choice for us, El?
It's Bombay Sapphire Coma by the Crimea.
Right.
And this is free to download off their website, so free music always good.
Absolutely.
So I think everyone should go and check that out. It's really good. It's on their website, thecrimea.net.
Well, we'll play it now and hang there, and we'll talk to you briefly before we let you go.
Okay.
Okay. That is the choice of our listener on the Steve Show, El Murphy, and it is the Crimea, Bombay Sapphire Coma from the album Secrets of the Witching Hour. And you say, Al, that it's free to download? It's
free to download off their website, yeah. They got dropped by their label, I think, last year, so they put it on their website free to download.
That is a fantastic opportunity for stingy listeners everywhere, and it's also a great song. Thank you very much indeed for recommending it to us.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, and I wish I could talk further, but there's so much other great music and chat to get in. Okay, thanks so much, Al.
Okay, thanks then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Harry, how can people make a listener recommendation to us?
Well, what they want to do, Steve, ideally, is go to the Six Music website, which is at bbc.co.uk/Six Music. Then they can follow the links to the show's page, and then there's a suggest a track thing.
Perfect. Brilliantly done. I think we need to get a jingle for that.
BBC Six Music.
Why do we have to have the novelty stings? Why does it sound like it's a circus, for goodness sake? Oh, those cheeky shadow puppets almost caught me out there. From the brilliant album. Is there going to be a better album this year, Sammy?
I don't think so.
I don't think there is. And it was Calm Like You. Shadow Puppets, last. Okay, Steve Show, BBC Six Music with me, Steve Rich, and we need to squeeze in another session tune from Jason Mraz. He came in. When did he come in? Doesn't matter, it's too late. You had your chance. It's all over. And so he's playing tunes from his album We Sing, We Dance, We Steal Things, and this is called Beautiful Mess. Jason Mraz in session for the Steve Show, and that is the tune Beautiful Mess from his album We Sing, We Dance, We Steal Things. Hopefully we'll speak to Mark Dolan shortly, but prior to that we were asking for your suggestions about what it is we can be British British and proud about.
Yes.
That's a difficult thing to explain when you're not concentrating. And Harry, we've had endless suggestions.
Endless. Duncan from Bristol, politeness.
Yes.
With the ability to squeeze in 3 thank yous and 4 pleases when just ordering a drink on the Mediterranean.
Yes.
That's truly something only British people can be proud of.
That's true.
And Chris says, of course, incredible poshness, in tribute to Rufus, who isn't here today.
The late departed Rufus. You say politeness, but I mean, there's quite a lot of rude shop staff and waiters. I mean, you know, the waiters and waitresses. I was obviously in Cambodia and over there recently, and they cannot do enough for you. Bowing and scraping, you know, constantly bowing to you, literally bowing and walking out the room backwards. I mean, that's what you're after, isn't it, from service?
Yeah, I think Brits abroad as well, they split into 2 very definite camps, don't they? The overly polite and the really quite revolting.
The ones who make no concessions to the local language, just pointing, oi, that sort of thing. Yeah, well, I'm not sure any of those really count, Dan.
Adrian Fry's been on the Great British
The Fry
Email. The Fryster. His list includes Yorkshire Puddings, Marquis Smith's False Teeth, The Archers on Radio 4, Bogus Nostalgia, Ivor Cutler, Sir Patrick Moore belittling his guests on the Sky at Night, and civil servants having to say Snowpake instead of Tipex because the latter is a brand name.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Snowpake, is that what you...
Snowpake.
That's the... wow.
That's a generic,
So public address system instead of tannoy?
Yeah. So
Snowpake.
I didn't know that. That is indeed a great thing.
Patrick Moore is something to be proud of, but I think he did go to school with Galileo. He is a very old man. I wonder if, you know, I mean, great as he is, I wonder if we can really claim him for this generation. You know, he does seem to speak for almost every other generation. And Sammy, you've had suggestions.
I've had one from Kim Bolton, not in Bolton, in Gloss. Is that either Gloucester or Gloucestershire? I'm not sure. She suggests the beautiful countryside, the language or sense of humour, central London, Triumph motorbikes, crisps, proper beer and chip shops.
Chip shops, yes, I get behind chip shops.
Proper beer.
Because, you know, you do look for them around the globe, and they're normally poor, aren't they?
Yep.
Maybe you're on the Spanish Riviera. They've made an effort to do one. You know, a lot of local Brits there and watching Only Fools and Horses. But aside from that, yeah.
Do you get puffins in Spain? Because I think a puffin always helps a good fish and chips. If I'm in visible distance of a puffin, my fish and chips exponentially grow.
Puffin? What are you talking about?
I
Puffins.
think that's a northeast thing, isn't it there,
You
Sammy?
not have puffins down here.
Right, it's just occurred to me, look at that dress. She looks like Alice in Wonderland. Right, she's taken whatever pill it was that Alice took. That's why she went to school with a boy from the past. And that's why she's talking about puffins. I've never seen a puffin in this country.
Much of England is inland, and therefore you wouldn't get many
You only get a
puffins.
good fish and chip shop at the coast, though.
Oh.
Puffins, that's nonsense. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, listen, we have to squeeze in a musical choice from Tiny Dan. Go for it.
Yes, Barry Adamson. He's a little British treasure. He's been churning out his solo stuff for about 20 years now, and he never seems to hit the radar. But he's got a new album out, which is something like his 7th. And once again, it seems to have slipped under the radar of everyone. But he's got this delightful little summer number on there called Straight Till Sunrise.
Thank you. Dan's musical choice on this week's Steve Show. What was it there, Dan?
That was Straight Till Sunrise by Barry Adamson, and it's from his new album, which is called Back to the Cat, and it's out now.
You know, I'm fascinated by freaks of all kinds, but you shouldn't label people freaks, because I'm a very tall man, of course. I take great offence at that, and you're, of course, laughably small.
Tiny.
But we never refer to it, because it's embarrassing.
No.
So,
I'm glad that you never refer to it yet.
But I don't know if you've caught the programme that's been on Channel 4 over the last couple of weeks. There was one last week about very, very tiny people. There was one prior to that about enormous ladies. Which is obviously one of my fantasies. And this week, giant pets. And the presenter of that show, Mr. Mark Dolan. A little round of applause in the style of Steve Wright. Mark, lovely to talk to you.
Hello, Stephen, and hello, Stephen's paid buddies.
Paid very poorly.
Do you sort of take them all out afterwards and, like, basically buy their friendship with loads of rounds of drinks and then sort of bring them back to your house, and then suddenly at 2 o'clock in the morning for no reason, it's like, okay, you all have to go now?
I like to buy a round of drinks, perhaps every 4 weeks. All night trying to come up with the hilarious stories for next week's show.
Of course, I'm glad. You're a good human being.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. But so are you. Okay,
Well,
Mark?
thank you. I try, because I've had, if you do a show about people that are kind of very physically extraordinary, then possibly there's certain elements of the media that think that's a bit exploitative. So
Yes.
I've sort of had a challenge doing this show of basically meeting these people and enjoying on one level the titillation of the freakery of it, but also at the same time trying to be, vaguely moral about it and get to know the people and hear their story and that sort of thing.
So the first week was Giant Ladies, is that right?
It was Tallest Women in the World and Me, and two of the tallest women in the world are, one's in America, and she's called Sandy Allen, and she's 7 feet 9 inches tall.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Actually, 7 feet 7 inches. This is one of the problems of doing this show, is it gets very complicated. 7 feet 7 inches. And then I met a woman in China who's 7 feet 9 inches, but she's not officially the tallest because there are a lot of record breakers out there who just don't have the internet.
And so there's quite a sort of, I mean, in the programme about tiny people, there's a certain lucrative asset to being voted the tallest or the smallest, isn't there? I mean, there's quite a financial gain from it if you get in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know if you were into the Guinness Book of Records when you were a teenager, or
Never
maybe
interested.
you had a girlfriend, I don't know.
But
I was, and I just always remember the first pages that I would go to would be like the tallest people and smallest, and I think there's a real fundamental human curiosity about that, and I think the reason why the tall women was interesting is because not only is it the physical amazement of beholding a woman that just like towers above me, and I'm 6'5", but also obviously the gender issues to do with being a woman tall in our society is rather frowned upon.
And does she? I mean, is there a certain sort of note of loneliness that you can sense? I sadly missed that when I was away. I was actually laughing at small people in Cambodia. Actually, that's not true. They were laughing at me. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very hard for them to find love, and they've got really strict rules about, because you think, it's a cliche to imagine that these tall women have a height limit that they won't go below, but they do. I was talking to these women in America at a special tall club, and they were just saying nothing under 6'3". I won't look at a man who's under 6'3", and that kind of limits your choice. Because I think, how tall are you, Stephen?
Well, I'm 6'7", and I'm tempted to go to the tall club just to feel normal.
Yes, it would be. I think you'd fit in nicely. I actually saw a pull-out in the paper, and you starred in it, and I think it was in the Mail, and there were a list of very tall celebrities, and you were the tallest.
Wow.
And that woman from Desperate Housewives was the smallest.
Can I make money, do you think, from this, if I get in the Guinness Book of Records? Tallest British celeb?
I'm feeling that.
That would be good. Sadly, I'm exactly the same height as Peter Crouch.
Ah, okay.
And frustratingly...
Well, it's fine. I mean, I think in your job it's kind of advantageous to be tall, because I know you know, all the stuff you do, one of the things you do is a bit of stand-up, and that's something I do a bit of as well, and it's helpful. So I think for guys, being tall is normally an advantage, because for some reason it's very unfair, but height gives you a bit of presence, I think. Even though you may not have a right, maybe you don't deserve to have presence, but that's what it does for you.
The programme about very tiny people, though, there's a certain kind of, there's a certain tragedy in some of the stories that you explored, particularly as a lot of the people are incredibly poor, and it's, as you say, very difficult. How do you sort of treat them? Some of them are very self-conscious about being incredibly tiny.
Yes. I found, because with the tall women, for them it's quite a living, and there's a source of celebrity to be tall, and they big themselves up. But the small guys are very, very sensitive about the issue, and I think that's tied in with our masculinity, because obviously, whether it's the right thing or not, we tend to sort of equate being a man with being kind of big, and
Yes.
And therefore these guys are tiny, so they've got real self-confidence issues surrounding their height. And so one little guy I met called Kagendra, who lives in Nepal, who barely comes up to my knee, and although he's 16, I think when he's 18 he's going to be the smallest man in the world, but he's got to wait for those 2 years, and he's kind of in denial about how small he is. I said, how does it feel to be so small? And he said, I'm not. Look at that tree. I'm as tall as that tree.
Yes.
So he's in denial. But then another guy called Herping Ping, who is the smallest man in the world, and who lives in Inner Mongolia in China, was basically, we hit it off. I was there for Chinese New Year. We were having a big meal together. And then the minute I raised the issue of his height, he just absolutely turned his back on me and really resented the questions.
Yes.
And quite amusingly, he sort of kind of did the opposite of warm to me, because at a